Welcome to the Success Blueprint, strategies to build a life and business you love. This is your go-to podcast for success in both life and business. I'm your host, Daniel Craig Johnson, and as a seasoned life and business coach with 15 years of experience, I will be sharing powerful stories, practical tips, and valuable insights on personal development, leadership, entrepreneurship, productivity, motivation, and more. Join me every week for the Success Blueprint, strategies for building a life and business you love. Let's ignite your success. Friday afternoon, welcome to the Success Blueprint. We are back after a break last week Friday due to unforeseen circumstances. Load shedding in South Africa is a real thing. You're halfway through your podcast and all of a sudden power goes off, you're out of the groove, want to re-record the next day, then all of a sudden cable theft and you're out of electricity for 3 days. That's how it goes. That is unforeseen circumstances, but we know how to be resilient and we bounce back from it. And that's why we are not deterred by small little implications that we are objected to due to Eskom's perfect power management. So here we are, next one, part 2. This podcast series is purely about goal success, goal attainment, how to reach goals, how to achieve goals, better habits, the reasons why we don't always succeed or people do not succeed at all at achieving their goals and run through life, as we say, on autopilot. So today I really want to dig a bit deeper into our habits and how we sometimes think that our habits might automatically lead to the success with our goals. And we talk about a couple of areas in life that we usually focus on when we want to set goals and when we want to be more successful, more happy, find more balance. But the first thing we want to talk about is really, how do I transform my habits into achievable goals? And we know that habits are an integral part of our life. But I always tend to say that just because I have habits doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to achieve certain goals. Habits can be good and habits can be bad, depending on how we use them or what habits we have instilled into us due to our upbringing or our own conditioning. So habits can be good and they can be bad. And sometimes even bad habits might lead to success for some reasons. But if you look at it in general, it is very challenging to turn habits into goals. Because habits are something that are really ongoing and they do lack a clear endpoint. So my habits might make me do something every day on a regular basis, but also do they lack the clarity of knowing, why am I actually in this habit? Why am I following this habit? Where is this habit going to lead me? So in general, turning habits into achievable, attainable goals is sometimes very hard. So and to bridge this gap, I will always say it is better to put into place or transform your habits into annually, monthly, and weekly goals. And you can do that by using 3 rules. Rule number 1 is the consistency rule. When you set goals for a year, then I would rather suggest that you start practicing a habit or a behavior consistently for a significant portion of the year. So for example, if I want to run, because I am a comrades runner or I want to run marathons and I want to get better at it, I try to put a consistency rule in place where I, let's say, force myself to run a certain amount of days within those 365 days of the year. So look at it from a perspective where you say, I rather put down habits or behaviors that I follow consistently for a significant portion of the year than to necessarily follow it every single day of the year, because that might be overwhelming. And then the second rule is the progress rule. For monthly habits and goals, set a target to practice the habit for a specific number of days within that month. So you're aiming for steady progress by practicing the habit, let's say 20 out of 30 days. And then the third rule would be the flexibility rule. So when you set your weekly goals or you set your weekly habit goals, allow for flexibility whilst you still maintain that consistency. So you strive to practice the habit for at least 5 out of 7 days in a week. And by installing these rules, you provide a realistic and achievable success threshold for your habits. They allow room for occasional slip-ups and for unexpected events. For instance, last week Friday, we went into a 3 days no power time. It's hard to run from a generator, then the generator broke. So there's a lot of unexpected events. And if you hold yourself like a perfectionist to your standards, or maybe you too critical on yourself, too hard on yourself, that might completely unrail you. You feel like you failed. You didn't put that podcast out on the Friday. So there's two ways to deal with it, either with the flexibility rule, or if it is really something important, here you obviously could counter that with preempting what could happen. So if I have to record a podcast on Friday and any unforeseen circumstances occur, then you can default to a place where you would have electricity. Or maybe you have a recording device that doesn't need electricity because it's battery operated, or whatever the case might be. So that is the other way of dealing with it. But with the flexibility rule, I allow myself space to sometimes move away from that rule and not feel like defeated or feel negative because I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve. So you take away the pressure of perfection and you reduce the chances of abandoning your habits altogether. So by giving yourself a challenging yet attainable target, you can maintain motivation and enjoy a sense of accomplishment when you reach that habit goal. And then the other two things that I would like to mention, or let's use it as additional two rules. So the first one of these rules is the summit approach rule. Instead of setting high bars from the beginning, start with a lower frequency or intensity for your habit goals. Establish the habit first and then gradually expand it over time. And with this approach, you ensure a solid foundation for long-term success and you prevent overwhelming yourself. It's like in mountaineering, we say small steps, big enjoyment, big steps, small enjoyment. And it's very true. If you had to climb a mountain, let's say like Mount Everest, you have to go slow. You have to take small steps. You need to give your body time to climatize to each and every step that you make above the 8,000 meters when you're in the dead zone where you have no oxygen available, whether you have an oxygen bottle or not, your body responds completely different. So by taking small steps, these small steps in a string behind each other make a huge impact and lead you to success. And the same applies to the summit approach rule, where you take small steps, but you keep it in a way that it doesn't overwhelm you, so that long term you're more successful, you achieve more of those goals. It is more an approach for longevity and not that initial motivation that fades and then all the demotivation that comes along the way when you don't do something that you've said. And the second one is the substitute rule. So when we aim to break a bad habit, it's essential to replace them with healthier alternatives. So identify the rewards or benefits you gain from the bad habit and find a new habit that can provide similar or even greater rewards. By replacing a bad habit with a rewarding and positive one, you can ease the process of breaking the habit. Because very often when we have bad habits, we have to understand there is a reason why we're doing this. We don't just have bad habits for no reason. If you investigate and you sit down and you try to understand, why do I have this bad habit? For instance, of being late. Sit yourself down and ask yourself, why am I being late all the time? What do I gain from it? What is the thing that makes me choose to rather follow that habit of being late than being on time? And then when you say, if I'm on time at least 5 times a week, which is the days that I work, on the weekend, when I go out and stuff like that, maybe it doesn't matter, but when I'm at work, the 5 days I want to be on time. And then sit down and think of what rewards are you going to gain, or what is going to happen if you are on time and you come to work on time. What are the rewards out of that? And once you start listing those, you can find that, or you will find that the rewards of replacing the bad habit with the other habit are much bigger. And therefore you will see, or your brain will automatically understand, that replacing that habit has even greater value in my life or greater rewards. And there's a much higher chance then that you will follow through with those habits and that you eventually manage to break through the bad habits. So in closing to this part, transforming habits into goals is a powerful way to bring focus, motivation, a sense of accomplishment to all your daily routines. And by following the consistency, progress, and flexibility rules, You can set achievable habit goals that align with your long-term aspirations. And that is the bigger goals, the things that you want to achieve over the next 1, 5, 10 years. And additionally, incorporating the summit approach rule and the substitute rule can further enhance your habit building process. And always remember, it's not about perfection, but about making consistent progress and continuously improving. Because when we are perfectionists, when we strive for perfectionism, we have a very high expectation. And when we don't meet that high expectation, we add stress, we add frustration, anxiety, and many, many other things to our daily lives. So perfectionism is obviously something that is very admirable, but in most cases it's not sustainable, and it will lead to failing in terms of longevity when it comes to goal attainment and achieving your goals. So by the small little points that I've mentioned above, with those rules, with those systems, there's definitely a chance that you can improve and that you take small incremental steps towards being more successful, being more on time, being a better friend, being a better partner. And I want you to think of one thing. Imagine you only improve 1% in each and every life area that is important to you. 1% every single day. That makes 365% a year in each and every area of your life. Imagine end of this year, you would have improved by 365% in each and every area of your life. If you sit and think about that for 1 second, you will understand how powerful that is. And there's no ceiling. You can set habit goals and goals that take actions that will improve you 2%, 3%. So now imagine that and multiply that. So by setting ourselves incremental steps, we create longevity in terms of goal attainment, and we make sure that we are not overwhelmed, that we do not fall victim to being demotivated because we are trying to be perfect, because we are trying to follow every single step that we've put in place. And therefore we leave ourselves leeway, we leave ourselves leverage to sometimes not be successful, but not being completely crushed and then stopping. Because if we follow that principle of perfectionism, we might end up in a place where we are so anxious about following these habit goals that we abandon them completely, because it feels much more better, or it's much more rewarding not to be super successful than to consistently be on the clock and consistently be under pressure to perform. And that is just internally. Now, if we add on to that the external influences and all the external pressure, it becomes even worse. So that's the one section that I ask you to look at and to see how can you apply that to your life. And now I would like to go over the areas in the life with you where these things would apply, because typically through our achievements, the goals, the habit goals, at the end of the day, everything leads up to achievements and everything leads up to things that we gain. But more importantly is what or who is the person that I become through those achievements. When you formulate your goal plan, you usually or typically establish goals across 8 fundamental areas of life that refer to certain aspects of your life. And I want to talk to you quickly about those 8 areas. So number 1 is physical well-being. Number 2 is prosperity and abundance. Number 3 is your occupation or your profession. Number 4 is growth and development, your self-development, your growth in terms of learning, whatever you would like to call it. Number 5 are your relationships, and they can be inter or intrapersonal. And then your inner peace and balance are point number 6. 7 is imagination and creation. And 8 is fun and leisure. So I want to explore each aspect in a bit more detail with you. And I would like you to make notes, keep your goal journal or something to write nearby so that you can write down any ideas or inspirations that arise. This will give you a head start when it comes to time, or when it comes to the time to create your own plan. So as you listened, feel free to make notes and see what resonates with you. So number 1 is physical well-being. You can label it as health and wellness, wholeness, body, nutrition, exercise. So you probably already recognize the importance of setting goals related to your physical well-being. And people spend significant amounts of money each year on weight loss, fitness, nutrition plans, goals such as improving your diet, losing weight, exercising more frequently. It's like all on the top of the New Year's resolution lists that happen every single year at the end of the year and then go into the new year and then usually fall flat. In a way, every other aspect of life depends on the goal that we set for our physical well-being. If you are chronically ill and in poor shape, it will definitely be more challenging to achieve success or enjoy the fruits of your efforts in other areas. And even if you're already healthy and fit, it's still essential to set goals to maintain your well-being. In short, having goals related to your physical health is a non-negotiable on my end. Every other aspect of your life is impacted negatively if you do not focus on your physical and well-being goals. So some examples for that: research and adopt a healthy diet plan. Go and look at your blood type, look at what kind of food supports your health, what kind of food is best for you, what do you need? Are you underweight? You need to eat more. Are you overweight? You need to eat less. Are you in between? Research and adopt a healthy diet plan and make it fun and do something that will definitely give you the joy and will make you want to follow this plan. The other point, or the next point, as an example for physical well-being goals, is exercise at least 2 or 3 times per week in the coming month or in the coming week. Here again, apply the rules that I've mentioned earlier in the episode and then define what you want to do. The other one is, for instance, maintaining a weight of, let's say, 150 pounds or less. Whatever your goal is, whatever you are trying to achieve. If you're a bodybuilder, you might want to be heavier than that. If you're a runner, you might want to be lighter than that. But this is a typical example for physical and well-being goals. Take a 30-day break from alcohol, do a detox, go on a silent retreat. Track your food intake every day for, let's say, 1 month or maybe even only 2 weeks. You can go for meditation, join a yoga class, go for a tennis club or soccer club. Achieve the ability to do 20 pull-ups. Or if you say you would like to be able to do 100 push-ups in one go without stopping. That's also an example for physical and well-being goals. And when you go through these, use the tools above, the rules that I've mentioned above, to really drill down and find out, what do I need to do? How can I do it? But we will definitely go into how to do it and what is important after we've went through all the areas. Number 2 will be abundance. And we're talking about, like, if you want to call it in different names, it's wealth, it's prosperity, financial freedom. And at the end of the day, it always leads to achieving freedom. So when we think about money, is money freedom? Well, money gets us to do what we want, when we want it, with who we want it. And it allows us to eliminate a lot of different things that can cause stress and anxiety in our lives. So is money necessarily something that will make us happy? Certainly not. Is it something that is going to give us more balance in life? Certainly not. Is it going to give us better relationships in life? Certainly not. But we can use money, for instance, to create better relationships. Let's say we have a communication issue, we have issues connecting to people. We are maybe on the abusive side. We are too depressed to sustain relationships. Money can buy us therapy. Money can put us in a place where we can deal with that and we can improve, get better, and therefore then create better relationships. If we look at prosperity, will money help to create more prosperity? Certainly. Will it be able to create, for instance, better health? Yes, because I could possibly hire top coaches. I could buy top-end food. I could go into therapy if I drink too much. All these things will definitely lead us to being better. So money creates freedom. It creates a certain stability in life that will then in return turn other areas of our lives, if we use it wisely, if we use it the right way, if we know how to deal with money. So it again comes with a lot of different aspects that we have to consider. Money by itself is not necessarily the recipe, or not necessarily the recipe for a better life, but it certainly can be. And if used in the right way, it will be. So, and that's why many of us have conflicting beliefs about money that hinder our pursuit of financial goals. We think that if we don't have money, we cannot achieve our goals. And I don't know if it resonates with you, but set a goal to improve your relationship with money by learning more about it. Seek resources that can help shift your mindset towards abundance and wealth creation. That certainly helps. And once we have that healthy relationship with money, then we can start dealing with aspects of our life where money does have impact. So an example of abundance goals or wealth goals, financial freedom goals are, for instance, to pay off credit card debt. Create your budget for the week, month, year, and stick to it. Read books on personal finance and wealth creation. You can say that you want to create an emergency fund with your partner that is, let's say, $10,000, 50,000 Rand. You can set a financial income that you want every month, and maybe that be 10,000 US dollars, 200,000 Rand. That's up to you. Open an investment account. Research and identify top 5 side hustles for additional income. So there is things that I can set at goals, and then I know where am I going and what do I actually want? Where do I want to be when it comes to abundance goals? And then again later, we can drill with a couple of examples down to how do I do that? The next one is your profession or your occupation. It's your career, your calling, your business, entrepreneurship, whatever you define as the thing that will then make you earn money. That is your profession or your occupation. And the profession aspect encompasses your vocational pursuits. And it may or may not align with your current job. If your day job is your calling or a career you plan to pursue for a while, that's great. Set goals related to it in this aspect. And if it's not, if it's just something that you're doing to pay the bills, then nothing speaks against establishing and working on the steps that you need to take to get to where you want to be. And sometimes that waitering in a bar or washing cars on the side, it can be those steps that are necessary to get to where I want to be. Even if it means that I want to be a doctor sometime. Maybe you don't have wealthy parents. Maybe you don't have a support network that can put you through university, get you to study so that you can get the degrees and that you can get your doctor, whatever it is. But by having goals like I am going to have 3 jobs on the side, they're going to make me this amount of money, and within 3 years I will be able to go to university or afford the degree that I need. So that's how it works. Your profession might extend beyond your day job. For example, if you work as a barista to pay the bills but dream of becoming a writer, your writing aspirations would fall under this aspect. The profession aspect is about finding fulfillment and growth in your chosen field of work. And sometimes it means that you have to just bite the dust and do something for a while that you're not crazy about in order to then pursue your dream. So setting areas or setting goals in this area can include acquiring new skills, advancing in your career, starting a business, pursuing your passion projects. And it's important to align your professional goals with your values and interests to create a sense of purpose and satisfaction in your work. Because if you are going to work and you do not like it, if there is no reward, if there's no sense or purpose, no belonging, then it will fail you. It will sooner or later fail you. And many people, it is important, I want to stress that, they start something as a hustle that they intend to use to climb the ladder of their own framework of success or where they want to be, their goal. And very often people fall victim to that and they stay where they are because they never actually really get out of that job again. And all of a sudden, 30 years fast forward, we are still doing exactly the same. They are still doing exactly the same. And they completely forgot about their goals. So in those areas, it's important that we track, that we understand what do I need to do? When do I need to do that? How do I need to do it? And what is the outcome? And when we break it up and we use the rules that I've mentioned earlier in the episode, then we have something in sight. We know that we keep control. We can check it. We can do checks and balances. We can adjust some of our goals along the way. Some example for profession goals would be, or your occupational goals would be to complete a certification or degree program related to your field. Attend a conference or workshop to enhance your professional skills. Start a side business related to your passion or expertise. Apply for a promotion or seek a new job opportunity if your current job doesn't make you happy. Write and publish a book within the next 1 to 5 years. If you have something to say about business, about development, whatever the case might be. Network and build connections within your industry. Launch a website or portfolio to showcase your work. So there again, we're now starting to drill down into the goals. We create these goals, and then when we follow the certain principles that we've discussed in episode 1, that we're discussing today, and that we will discuss a bit later, then we are creating a plan. We are creating a structured, I would call it, or what I like to call it is, we create a scaffolding for structured emergence. And we know where we're going and why are we going there. So that in terms of profession. The next one is self-growth and self-development. Learning, growth, your mindset, your spiritual well-being or spiritual development. So this self-growth aspect is about expanding your knowledge, your skills and mindset to become the best version of yourself. And it encompasses lifelong learning, personal development, and cultivating a growth mindset, which I've said so many times is so important. Setting goals in this area involves investing in your personal growth, acquiring new knowledge and skills, and developing habits that support your overall well-being. It's about continuously challenging yourself, stepping out of your comfort zone, and embracing opportunities for self-improvement. There's nothing more important than self-improvement. And we don't. We have a car, we have a house, we have friends, we are kind of successful, and then we think everything is fine and we don't need to do anything. But it is consistent improvement that is needed. It can always be better. Even if I have a business already that is making millions, why can it not make billions? And if we make billions, why can it not make even more than that? Why, if we are fit, can we not become fitter? There's never an end to our goals. But particularly when self-development comes into the picture and self-growth, it is something that we have to work on every day. Whether we want to be stoic, we want to be philosophers, we want to be spiritual gurus. It is a consistent process. And only when we put ourselves down and we stay accountable, that is when we really recognize the power of consistent skill attainment and acquiring knowledge, becoming more wise, becoming more calm, becoming more collected, and being able to respond better to the things that happen around us with our relationships, with work, with conflict, and so on. So self-growth is something that should never stop. And more importantly, we should always readjust and realign and look, how can we better ourselves? And examples for self-growth goals would be read 20 self-help or personal development books in a year or in 2 years. Learn a new language within the next 6 months. Take a course or workshops in a subject of your interest. Develop a meditation or mindfulness practice. Practice a new hobby. Create something that you haven't done before, or do something that you haven't done before. Create an outlet. Attend personal development seminars or events. Check on YouTube, on the internet. Hire a coach like me. Challenge and overcome a fear of limiting beliefs. Overcome limiting beliefs, overcome bad habits, ties up to what we've said earlier. And then by identifying these goals and really knowing which goals and when and why and how and what obstacles, I then put a plan in place to never lose sight on my personal development and self-growth. And I can tell you, I can resonate. Many, many years of my life, I've been cruising on autopilot. I've lost so much time in my life to gain more wisdom and gather more information, become more intelligent, acquire new languages. I've done many, many things. But if I look at how many years of my life I've been on autopilot because there was no clear plan and no clear structure, and maybe not in all aspects of life. I would like to call myself successful and always being ready to learn something new and a go-getter, but there would have been even more space for more success and more growth and more personal development if there would have been a plan at every stage of life. And unfortunately, it takes many people many years, and half of our life is sometimes gone before we really fully understand the impact that all this planning and having a structure in life, in all areas of life, or for instance in these 8 aspects of life which are so important, what difference that can make. The next point is connections. And here we talk about relationships, family, community, love, our inter and intrapersonal connections, the ones with ourselves and the ones with the outside world and our surroundings. The connections or the relationship aspects focuses on your relationships and connections with others and with yourself. And it includes your family, friends, romantic partner, colleagues, and the broader community that you're living. Meaningful connections and healthy relationships contribute to our happiness and well-being. We are social creatures. We need community. We need a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose. And we get that through community. We get it through friends, through partners, through colleagues. And yes, there's people out there that get that more or feel more accomplished or more successful and happy when they read a lot. But certainly in every life, it is important to have healthy relationships and connections. It is of utter importance. So setting goals in this area involves nurturing and strengthening your relationships, fostering positive connections, cultivating a supportive community around you. It's about investing time and energy into building meaningful connections that bring joy, love, and support in your life. It's the trusted critique. It's the friend circle. It's the people that push you, the people that tell you the truth when you don't want to hear it. Those things. It's the community. How are you integrated in your community? How well are you recognized in your community? In some communities, it's very important to be an integral part of the community where you have to put more in, where you need to show that you are interested in the community. And in other communities, it might not even matter whether you know the neighbor next door. But for me personally, I would always say that community is very important. Have a sense of community. Know the neighbor next door. What if something happens to you at night and the neighbor next door could have helped you, but they don't care because they never spoken a word to you? There's so many examples to underpin that. Your community, your connections are important. And in the bigger picture, you always have to understand that all of these points that we discuss, they feed into your personal development. They feed into the life that you create around yourself, into the life that happens around you, into, at the end of the day, bottom line, your work, your success at work, your hobbies, how successful are you at your hobbies, your wealth creation, your connections, and your inter and intrapersonal relationships. They are a key factor in all the other aspects that we discuss. You can be successful in all the others. You can be brilliant at them, but without fostering and having healthy connections, relationships, family and community and love, they will be worth nothing. So examples for connection goals could be that you plan regular date nights with your partner, connect with family members or friends you haven't spoken to in a while, volunteer or get involved in community service, join a club, a group, organization aligned with your interests, schedule quality time with loved ones each and every day or week at least, or twice a month, 3 times a month if they live further away. Practice active listening and effective communication in your relationships. It will make such a huge difference. Express gratitude and appreciation to those that care about you. Let them know that you value them. Let them know that they are an integral part of your community. That is so liberating. Validate people and tell them that they are important to you and that you treasure them. What you get back when you put a smile out there into the world and just a couple of words of encouragement, and sometimes even to a stranger, wow, the jacket you're wearing is amazing. And that person all of a sudden stops and says, oh, thank you so much. You are so nice. That's amazing. You might be building that one relationship that could possibly change around everything in your life. You never know. So every single time that I see a stranger on the street and I maybe say, you know what, I really love your outfit. Amazing. And at the end of the day, if the person just pays you a compliment back, that makes you feel better about yourself. Hey, great, amazing. But what if the person is wearing something and they give you the internet address for a fashion shop that you've always been looking for? Maybe they talk to you and you're currently busy transforming in your career and they own a company and all of a sudden they say, you know what, I have a company. Let's chat. Let's have a coffee. So understand that by creating these relationships, you're always just one decision or one connection away from the biggest thing that could possibly happen in your life. Whether it is the stranger in the pub where you say, you know what, you look amazing. I love your outfit. And all of a sudden, it's someone interested in you. And it turns out to become your spouse, your wife, your husband. There's so much in it. So that's another point. where by setting these goals or putting habits in place, regular habits, habit goals, I can improve so much and I can achieve so much more because I'm focused on it and I have clarity about it. And I move towards those things with a structured plan and not just running through life and hoping that all these things happen around me. There's so much that you can influence, so much that is within your control. The next one is inner harmony, like mindfulness, balance, well-being, spirituality. It ties a bit into the last point, but I would like to really highlight this specifically. The inner harmony aspect focuses on your mental and emotional well-being. It's about finding balance, inner peace, and a sense of harmony in your life. This aspect encompasses practices that promote mindfulness, self-care, spiritual growth, you name it. Setting goals in this area involves developing habits and practices that nourish your mind, that feed your body and feed your spirit, your soul. It's about prioritizing self-care, managing stress, cultivating a positive mindset. By nurturing your inner harmony, you enhance your overall well-being and resilience. Resilience, we spoke about this so many times. It's one of the key driving factors, and particularly in times of not knowing, in times of so much going on around us, times of inconsistency, times of rapid change. Resilience is so important. And when we set goals in those areas, we create a force field around us that is captivating and that can capture other people around us to follow the same principles, to get on board with us. And I always love to talk about interactional force fields. Your interactional force field is think of it like a spider web. The first thing is to place that interactional force field in the right place. Imagine you would create a spider web between two trees where every single day a whole flock of pigeons launches out of their home boxes to fly their rounds. And every single time you spend 24 hours building your web, and the next day in the morning, boom, there goes the pigeons, web gone. So why would you do that? If you would be a smart spider, you would put your web somewhere where you know there's flexibility in the structure around you so that your web can move. You make sure that small insects and small little animals are in reach that would crawl into there, that you can then prey on them and eat and feed yourself. Now think of you as this spider. You're putting this web there and you're putting it in a place where there's abundance, where there will always be enough for you. And you put it in a place where you know it stays and remains resilient. It also doesn't help if it's on a path where you consistently have animals running, because every interactional force field is just as good as the place where it is put, because you can stretch it to a certain extent. If we call it resilience, there is stress points and eventually the net will tear and it brings loose everything. We have to start from scratch and maybe even fatally not be able to rebuild it at all. And when we have that interactional force field, our family becomes part of it, our community becomes part of it. And every single person that hits that interactional force field, that web, obviously brings motion into it. It moves around. And we can only stretch it to a certain extent. So it is important that we are smart with where do we place this web? Where do we place our interactional force field? Who do we let into this interactional force field? How much uncertainty do we allow to become part of this interactional force field? What can we control? What can we not control? We can control where we place it and how we interact with the people in that interactional force field. So just as a bigger picture to understand this point, this is how we can create powerful and dynamic minds that are in balance, that are spiritual, that are mindful, that consistently interact with the surrounding and therefore take the highest influence that we possibly can on what we can control, so that we are better prepared and stronger and more resilient in responding to the things that we cannot control. The next area of life, imagination and creation, or we can call it our artistic expression, the ability to think creatively, generate new ideas, and express oneself artistically. It does involve tapping into your creative potential to bring something new and unique to the world, which we all want: purpose, belonging. This aspect allows us to explore our passions, discover solutions, innovations, and express ourselves through various art forms. So nurturing our imagination and creative abilities can lead to personal fulfillment and a sense of accomplishment. And it allows us to approach challenges with fresh perspective and find alternative solutions. Whether it's through writing, painting, music, or any kind of creative outlet, imagination and creation provides a space for self-expression and personal growth, which we've just discussed in the last point is super important. So example, imagination and creation goals could be to commit to a daily creative practice such as writing, painting, or playing an instrument, explore a new art form or creative hobby that you've always been interested in, attend a workshop or take a course to enhance your creative skills, start a blog or YouTube channel or podcast like I do it to share your creative ideas or talents or any kind of information that you deem valuable to share with people. Complete a personal project that showcases your imagination and creativity. Join a local art group or community to connect with like-minded individuals. Challenge yourself to come up with, let's say, 3 new ideas or solutions to a problem every day. And remember, the goals listed above are just examples. You can tailor them to your own interests and aspirations. The key is to set specific and achievable goals, and they have to align with your desire and your future aspirations, so they can enhance your imagination and creative abilities. Embrace your unique perspective and explore the limitless possibilities of your imagination. That falls again then back into personal development, self-development, and we can only gain from developing all these areas with a plan, with a concept, with our moral compass, with a navigation system. Because we do need indicators, we need inputs so we can create outputs, we need direction so that we can follow the right principles, the right morals. And that's why it's so important to always have a plan and set habit goals and know where are they leading me, what am I trying to achieve, how am I going to achieve it, when, what resources do I need, what obstacles are along the way. And the last point that I want to discuss is fun and leisure, or like recreation, enjoyment, entertainment, the things that you do to relax. Fun and leisure encompass activities and experiences that bring you joy, relaxation, and a sense of fulfillment outside of work or other responsibilities like family responsibility, raising kids, which very often comes with kind of joy and entertainment that we create with our kids, which sometimes brings us back to those years where we've been kids or teenagers and been more playful and more experimental and more looking at things with different eyes. It's important to incorporate enjoyable and rejuvenating moments into your life to maintain a healthy work-life balance. Work-life balance, so underrated and barely practiced, and your overall well-being. These activities can vary widely depending on personal preference and interests. It's not a fixed thing. It's not a rule around it. It's what you like, what makes you happy, what can distract you from things that might not be going so well in your life so that you can gain a bit more joy and then find the strength to overcome other challenges that you might be facing in your current stage of life. Engaging in fun and leisure activities allows you to recharge that battery, that body budget, reduce your stress, cultivate a positive mindset. It promotes happiness, fosters social connections, and it contributes to a more fulfilling life. And that's what it is about. By consciously making time for fun and leisure, you will ultimately create a better balance in your daily routine, and you will enhance your overall quality of life, which will then give you much more strength and more resilience, which gives you more motivation to tackle new goals, implement new goal habits, and so on. And some examples for fun and leisure goals. And again, as above, the list is not limited to what I'm telling you, but schedule regular me time to engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, such as reading, practicing meditation, having that odd glass of red wine. It's all up to you. You need to identify which goals are best for you and don't distract you and add value to what you're anyway already trying to achieve. Explore new hobbies or recreational activities, such as hiking, painting, playing a sport, learning a musical instrument, play the piano, the guitar, whatever brings you joy. Plan a vacation or weekend getaway to a destination you've always wanted to visit. We need to set these goals. Otherwise, we just wait for something to happen. We need to know this year I will travel to Italy because I've always wanted to go to Rome. I've always wanted to see the Colosseum. Organize social gatherings or outings with friends and loved ones to enjoy shared experiences and create lasting memories, so that you have your people that you trust and that add value to your life around you on a regular basis, and that it doesn't just become something that you do between all the stress and all the craziness that is going on around you. And now, oh, let's just squeeze the friends in. Then it becomes a habit that actually it's colored by negativity. So plan better time, plan slots where you say, this is the time that I want, this is the time that I need to connect to the people that really matter to me. Attend live events, concerts, performances in your area, or indulge in cultural and entertainment experiences. Try out new restaurants, make a list of new restaurants, new cuisines that you would like to try with your partner. All those sorts of things that can add value to your life. Create a bucket list of fun and adventurous activities you want to experience, and start checking them off one by one. 1 tick, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks. And that's how you carry on. Remember that fun and leisure goals should be personalized to your own interests and preferences, not anyone else's. The aim is to incorporate activities that bring you joy, that help you unwind, and provide a break from your daily routine. Prioritize self-care and make time for activities that nourish mind, body, and soul. So, by considering these 8 areas of life that I've mentioned above and setting goals in each area, you create a more holistic and balanced approach. And that balanced approach will help towards personal growth, fulfillment, and it's important, as I say, to remember that your goals should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be achievable, relevant, and time-bound. You can use the word SMART as the abbreviation for it and then add on the words. Many times in life, these cliche kind of things or basic things that life coaches or therapists or whatever use, like SMART goals, they sound cliche, but when you take a word like that and you write it down and you dive deep into the meaning of it, only then can you discover what impact they can have and how much they can actually change in your current life and how much they can influence your life in such a positive way if you use them. And by using such things, you increase your chances of success. It's also important to regularly review and adjust your goals. We mentioned that in the previous podcast episode. As circumstances change, celebrate your progress along the way and never be scared to seek support or guidance when you need it. When you feel lost, under pressure, overwhelmed, anxious, seek guidance. Ask trusted critiques. Ask a coach like me. Ask friends, family members that might be familiar with the situation that you are struggling with. With a well-rounded approach to goal setting, you will always be on your way to living a more fulfilled and purposeful life. But so many people fail at this by forgetting to put these steps discussed in place and therefore failing to create a fulfilled and purposeful life because they're living life on autopilot and because everything is just happening around them and everything is happening to them. And then victim's mentality sets in. Then it's like, I'm just less fortunate. I don't have the money to be happy. I don't have the network to be happy. I don't have the job to create wealth and well-being. And all these excuses come in. And I'm a procrastinator. And that's why I cannot do this and cannot do that. And by labeling ourselves as the procrastinator, we then have justification not to even take action at all. So when we go through the points mentioned above and we use the previous episode and we put the systems in place, we can achieve unimaginable things in our life and make so many areas of life so much more pleasant, so much more joyful. And we have more control over eliminating the noise and the clutter around us and gaining that so important clarity and focus. So in terms of success blueprint and strategies to build a life and business we love, how does it tie in? Well, let's discuss one of the most powerful tools you can use to boost your chances of success. And there's many books about it. Many authors have picked this up. And still, many people, when they hear it, they don't know about it. They have never heard about it. And that's the if-then planning. If-then planning is a technique that helps you to turn your intentions into actions by creating a clear link between a situation and a response that you have. It works like this. You decide in advance what you will do when a certain situation arises. And then you follow through with your plan when the time comes. So for example, if you want to exercise more, you might make a plan like this. If it's Monday, Wednesday or Friday, then I will go for a run in the morning before work. Or if you want to eat healthier, you might make a plan like this. If I'm at the supermarket, then I will buy only fresh fruit and vegetables and whole grains. So why is if-then planning so effective? Well, research has shown that it can double or triple your chances of reaching your goals compared to just having a vague intention. And this is because if-then planning does two things. The first, it helps you overcome procrastination and distractions by making your actions more automatic and habitual. Automatic and habitual means if I've trained it long enough, I will default back to those behaviors because they're already there. I don't have to think about what else could I do. And then the second part, you don't have to rely on your willpower or motivation to get started because you've already decided what to do and when to do it. It helps you cope with challenges and obstacles by preparing you for different scenarios and giving you a backup plan. So you don't have to waste time and energy figuring out what to do next because you've already anticipated the problems and the solutions. So you will automatically default to that because you will choose the path of least resistance versus having to think and finding alternatives, getting distracted and all those things that come to play. You will default back to these if-thens because they already point out the way and make it easy for you to decide. If-then planning can be applied to any goal you have, whether it's personal or professional, big or small. So let me give you some examples of how you can use it in different domains of your life. Let's say you want to improve your productivity at work. And you might make plans like, if I have an important task to do, then I will turn off my phone and email notifications until I finish it. If I'm feeling overwhelmed by my workload, then I will prioritize the most urgent and important tasks and delegate or postpone the rest. If I have a meeting with my boss or a client, then I will prepare an agenda and a list of questions beforehand. For example, work life. Another example, relationships. If you want to enhance your relationships with others, you might make plans like, if I see someone I know, then I will smile and say hello. If I have a conflict with someone, then I will listen to their perspective and try to find a win-win solution. If I want to spend more quality time with my partner or family, then I will schedule a date night or a family outing once a week. In terms of relationships, sounds easy, right? The other one, your health and well-being. So if you want to boost your health and well-being, you might make plans like these. If I wake up in the morning, then I will drink a glass of water or do some stretch exercises. If I feel stressed or anxious, then I will take a few deep breaths and practice some mindfulness meditation or do some yoga. If I want to relax and unwind at the end of the day, then I will read a book or listen to some music instead of watching TV or scrolling through social media. Very easy. So as you can see, if-then planning is a simple but powerful way to help you achieve any goal. All you need for it is a pen, a paper, or on your phone or tablet if you prefer that, if you're a millennial and you prefer digital devices, and some creativity. And then here, just at the bottom of it, some tips on how to create effective if-then plans. So the one thing, be specific. The more detailed your plan is, the more likely you are to follow it. For example, instead of saying, if I want to exercise more, then I will go to the gym. Rather say, if it is Tuesday or Thursday, then I will go to the gym at 6 p.m. and do 30 minutes of cardio and 30 minutes of strength training. Second of all, be realistic. Don't make plans that are too ambitious or unrealistic for your current situation. For example, if you haven't exercised in years, don't expect yourself to run a marathon in a month. It's not going to happen. Start with small steps and gradually increase the difficulty and frequency of your actions, which ties back into the beginning of this episode where I told you about the different rules. And the other thing is be flexible, the flexibility rule. Don't be too rigid or inflexible with your plans. Sometimes things change or unexpected events happen, like I had last week with the load shedding and then a power outage for three days. That will prevent you from following your plan exactly as you intended. So that's okay. Don't beat yourself up or give up on your goal. Just adjust the plan accordingly and keep it going. Like I did. Well, I record a week later. It's not going to take away from the effectiveness of what I'm doing or the meaning of what I'm doing. It only delays it a bit. If I'm too rigid on myself, then I will have anxiety. Oh my goodness, my listeners, I didn't post an episode on Friday. Well, it happens. And it's okay that it happens. You put your next episode up, you explain why, and you carry on. And like that, I stay flexible and I don't make it something that is unpleasant, because very often when we try to achieve goals and we want to do things better, we put habits in place that are unpleasant. And why would we, for something that we think is a goal that will reward us, why would we put habits in place or habit goals that make us feel bad about ourselves, that make us feel stressed or under pressure? Life has so much pressure. When we work with goals and we want to achieve things, we should always make sure that habits are replaced with habits that reward us and reward us in a better way than the bad habits that we have. And then it will become clear to our brains without us even understanding why we follow that habit rather than the other one that we replaced it with. The other way around, obviously. But you understand what I'm saying here. So to summarize the if-then planning, it's a technique that helps you to turn your intentions into actions by creating a clear link between the situation and the response. And it will help you overcome procrastination and distractions. You will cope better with challenges and obstacles and ultimately achieve your goals. I really want to ask you, try it out yourself just for a week or two and let me know what you think. Try it out and see how it happens or how it plays out for you. And tell me whether it hasn't added value to your life. I guarantee you right now here, it will add value to your life. And once you spend the time to listen to this podcast and you write down the things that I've been talking about and you take those takeaways and you apply them, don't even overwhelm yourself and try it for everything in your life. Just take one area in which you are not satisfied and apply it to that area and follow the steps that I've given you. And you will see it will make a huge difference. Once we've recognized that it makes a difference, it's a reward and we understand why this habit could be beneficial to us. And we might use that habit to create habit goals and replace other habits that might not play so well in our life with these ones. It's like, I really want to play back to that example of how to set goals, because we always run through life and we think that we got it all under control. But myself, I coach. I have all the tools, the knowledge at hand, and myself, I fail so many times to do the things, but I become better and better at practicing what I preach and to improve on communication, on relationships, on the things that I do, being more effective, being more specific about what I want to do. Simple example, with your partner, you ask someone, what do you want to change in your relationship? And they will look at you and say, well, I want to spend more time with my girlfriend or with my partner, or my boyfriend, husband, spouse, whatever you want to call it. So, okay, that's a great goal. But what does that actually look like? And I can guarantee you many times when I ask that question, people will go, oh, I actually haven't thought about it. As a coach, I want to tell you whenever, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I am 100% sure that you found yourself with this answer many times. And whenever you give this answer, you are not prepared. You don't have a goal. You have an intention, which is vague, but there is no habit. There is no habit goal. There's not even movement, a slight movement towards what you want to achieve. And you are far away from action. So if you would say, I want to spend more time with my girlfriend, what would be an effective way to look at that? Well, one way to look at it would be, how will I spend more time with my partner? How? And then write down how. What would that look like? What would it feel like? What would possibly come from that? What would be the rewards? So think about it. What would it actually look like to spend more time with your partner? And then the next question that you could ask yourself is, what is currently holding me back from spending more time with my partner? Can you see how powerful it is when you start asking yourself these questions? What is currently holding me back from spending more time with my partner? And now the list goes on. And now I'm doing soul searching. I dive deep into many other aspects of my life because there are certain things that hold me back. Hold me back from what? From the pleasant things in life. The reward of being with a partner. That's why we've chose the partner in the first place, because we want to spend time with them, and most probably as much time as we can. So what is holding us back currently? That will lead to so many investigative questions, so many aha moments and conclusions. And then I'm still not through the planning phase. Now I would have to ask the questions, okay, what are the mutual interests? And there we most probably are opening a whole can of different worms, because maybe we don't even know what our partner would like to do, or ourselves, or what would we do as a couple together, because everything has become work, paying bills, bringing kids to school, fetching kids from school. That's not spending time together. It's not quality time. It's not, I want to spend more time with my partner. No, it's not. It's the daily routines and habits that are instilled into you. They are required. You need to follow these habits in order to follow certain rules of society, things that happen around you that you have to fit into. But what does that have to do actually with spending more time with your partner, quality time with your partner? So now you're asking the question with a mutual interest, and now you're starting an investigation on a completely different level. And you might have to go back to your partner and say, hey, over the last 5 years, I completely forgot. What do you actually like? What's your favorite color? What do you like to do in your free time? What are the things that you want to do that add meaning to your life, that add meaning to your together relationship? So there's a whole new array of questions that comes out of that. And then lastly, activities and actions. And that would evolve completely around the question, what, once you've identified, how are you going to spend more time with your partner? Why do you want to spend more time with your partner? Why, or what is holding you back from spending more time with your partner currently? What are your together interests that would add value to both of your lives? And what obstacles might lay ahead in the future that may deter me or hinder me in achieving those things that I'm going to set out to do now? And after all of that process, then comes the activities and actions themselves. What activities do we enjoy together? How can we do them? When can we do them? What actions do we have to take? Well, we have to match our gym schedules. We have to find time together that we can allocate towards doing these things, because your work schedule is different than mine. I come home late, you come home early, whatever the case might be. You fly because you are air hostess. So how can we synchronize all of that? Now you have to drop the kids. I have to fetch the kids. You have to make dinner. I have to make dinner. How are we going to synchronize all these times? And how are we going to synchronize all the other habits that are actually holding us back from doing the things that we really would enjoy with our partner and our family, or whatever you want to call it? And only once you've done all this soul searching and all this investigation, and you've worked on that kind of clarity and focus, only then will you effectively be starting to set habit goals. You will identify the actions that you need to take to get to that one thing that you've mentioned in the beginning. I want to spend more time with my partner. So now if you look at that holistically, and you extend it to the areas that we've discussed, you extend it to all the things that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, how much clarity and focus do you actually have? How much are you actually controlling the things that are going on in your life? Or is everything that is going on in your life just controlling you? How much are you actively partaking and participating in your own life, in the life of yourself and your family, and your partner, your brother, your sister, your mother? We're not even talking about finances. We're not even talking about the abundance, about wealth creation. We're not talking about your body and your body budget, your mind, your soul, your spirit. We're only talking about one point. I want to spend more time with my girlfriend or with my partner. Do you see how powerful this is? Now, this is the power of setting goal habits, setting goals, and understanding why, how, when, what are the obstacles, what is going to happen along the way that is going to distract me again and maybe hinder me in achieving those goals. Now you understand why it is so big to say, I am going to change, I'm going to make a difference, and I will take action. The message here is that there are certain things that are so ingrained into us, that are so much part of society. We have to go to school. We have to follow the formal education system. We have to find work. We have to study. We have to graduate. We have to get a diploma, bachelor, whatever you want to call it. We have to find a job. We have to create a family. We have to buy a house, and we have to plant a tree and have pets. And then we have to find a small little retirement home that we can be happy in. All these things are basic principles that we follow. They create habits around us that we already follow, and we don't necessarily always follow them because we want them or we enjoy them. Maybe your vision about a happy, fulfilled life has nothing to do with wealth creation, with buying a house, with having a family and 5 kids and pets and birds and planting a tree or whatever you want to call it. Maybe your kind of happiness is something completely different. Maybe this is not even your tribe. Everyone that is following this 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 12 to 6, because you haven't even identified your tribe. Or because it is simply not your tribe by choice. So what does then happiness, success, fulfillment look like for you? Which are the goals that you have to achieve? Which are the habit goals that you have to put in place to get there? But if we live life on autopilot, we will never get to that conclusion. We will never get to that point where we ask ourselves so deeply and so focused with so much clarity. What do we want? Where do we want to go? Why do we want to go there? What do we want to achieve in life? What are the goals that matter to us? Not through society and conditioning, but what matters to us. And that is what I want to give you on the way this Friday afternoon. Take this episode, listen to it over and over again, and go through these areas. And please feel free to send me a message and let me know what you think. If you cannot resonate with this, then I don't know what to tell you else. This has so much power, and it has such a transformational power within. It can help you to make a huge, massive difference in your life, in your everyday life. So I really challenge you to listen to this episode with a notepad, with a piece of paper. Go over it. Take the key takeaways for it and apply it to your life. And let me know in comments, on an email, a direct message on Instagram, over my webpage. What do you think? Did this add value to your life? Do you think that this is something that you can resonate with? I would be surprised if you couldn't. So with this, I would like to give you a weekend greeting and say thank you for spending the time to tuning in again into the Success Blueprint. Thank you for being here. I hope you will have a fantastic weekend. And if you don't know what you're going to do on the weekend and you're just living, that's also fine. But next week is a new week. Take the podcast, think about what do you want to do? Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? How can you get there? And hopefully you will make a huge difference in becoming a champion in goal achievement and unleash your passion and your fire and your desire to become a better version of yourself every single day in all aspects of life. Thank you guys. This is Daniel, your host on the Success Blueprint, where we discuss strategies to build a life and business you love. Have a great weekend.